saying congratulations on the brand new EP. It sounds great. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been such a long time for us to sit on it, so we're really chuffed that it's finally out into the world.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about how this has all come together. How did the EP all come together, and did you guys have any goals that you wanted to try and achieve with this EP?
Yeah, totally. So, just for like a little bit of context, Dan, who's the drummer, and one of my best mates, is kind of been playing music with me for a long time. We've both been playing for ages, so I guess we kind of flipped the script a little bit with the process of how we went about being a two-piece and about being a band. We kind of just played live for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and just really wanted to put on an awesome live show. Yeah. So it was kind of sitting with just building that live show and making sure our song sounded really great in a live environment before we kind of wanted to finally lay down some tracks and do them properly. So that's why we went to the paradise of Grove. Like bands that we've absolutely loved have gone up there to record. So bands like Dizzy Death Rays, Silverchair, I think recorded Frog Stomp up there. Violent Soho, plenty of other like ARIA-nominated bands have kind of gone up there and worked there too. So we kind of thought, let's just, rather than releasing some demos that might be subpar, which is what a lot of kind of smaller bands do, we kind of just wanted to have no music out there, play a bunch of shows and build up, like, I guess, our presence that way. And then we'd actually have people that were kind of keen to spread our songs that had come to shows over the last 2 years. So
yep.
That's how it kind of built from us, playing since we were like, 17, 18, and then kind of forming the two-piece. And yeah, that's how it kind of came about. And I guess to answer your second part of the question, really for the back of this, we just kind of want as many people to hear it as possible. I think we've been sitting on this for a long time now, and it sounds fantastic. And Owen from The Grove did such an insane job. So I think we're just really wanting to use it as an opportunity to kind of get kind of support slots with slightly bigger bands and potentially move into, small festivals, things like King Street Crawl, potentially like Bad Friday, those kind of events. We want to use it as some fuel to kind of start drumming up a bit of a buzz about our live show, because that's where I guess we have kind of formed these songs and these sounds, and they've been captured so well just by the powerhouse that is The Grove. So yeah, that's kind of like our vision, I guess, for this EP, is just to give it into as many years as possible, and all the feedback's been so awesome so far. So yeah, we're chuffed, and we're just kind of keen to start working on some new stuff, and also have people listen to these songs and experience them like at the live show, because it's, yeah, you're going to come to a live show and it's going to sound almost exactly like the recording. It's kind of been reversed, rather than us, recording something that sounds crazy and heading to a live show and it doesn't really cut the mustard. So yeah.
Yeah, and of course we've been playing the singles Calling Off the Storm and Batman on our show. What kind of thing inspire you to write? Like, do you write about what's going on in your life? Do you write about what's going on around the world? What kind of things inspire you to write?
Yeah, totally. So I think we're kind of an interesting setup being a two-piece, and I think a lot of the times people would probably expect, the person that plays guitar and to sing to actually write a lot of the lyrical content and a lot of the songs. But I'd be remiss to not give Daniel full credit in a lot of this as well. Like, not only is he the drummer, but he actually plays guitar, writes a lot of the melodies, and also writes a lot of the lyrics for what we work on as well.
Yeah.
So even though it's kind of like a joint piece, and we kind of sometimes have our own songs that are all fleshed out, I've brought songs to the table that are kind of 80% there, and then we work on the 20% together. There are other times where, he's kind of got a full idea kind of sorted, and Batman was one that he kind of worked on. So I think we kind of both work on the songs and the music together. I guess without speaking to his point on the lyrical content, I think we're both kind of in similar circumstances around a lot of the themes that we write and we kind of talk about. It's more so just kind of our experiences around what might be stream of conscious to some extent, or kind of getting some feelings off of our chest from past experiences. I guess you could kind of look at a lot of the lyrical themes throughout the EP and potentially, read into some of the themes around, times of endings in relationships or other kind of circumstances, and kind of reflecting on those and some of the chaos that might come after that. And but at the same time, kind of a feeling of empowerment. For me, Batman kind of walks the line a little bit around that kind of lyrical content of the ending, but the chorus is quite anthemic and actually empowering as well. So yeah, that's kind of what we look to chat through in at least now, what we're kind of talking to and have gone through over the past couple of years. And yeah, it just works really well against the backdrop of noise that we've kind of built. So it's quite emotional content, but it kind of works well against the intensity of the distortion and the beats that we're also doing.
Definitely. You mentioned chaos. The last couple of years have been absolutely dreadful for the music scene. Was it difficult for you guys to get together and work on tracks and even get to the Grove to record because of the lockdowns and stuff?
Yeah, dude, that's such a good question, actually. Because funnily enough, we obviously, like I kind of said, we kind of took a bit of a backseat on recording for a little bit, just wanting to prioritize the live show. And that worked up until a point, 2019, we played some awesome venues and worked our way into the Newtown scene a lot. And then 2020 kind of hit, and it was when everything went to shit almost. So we couldn't really coast on just having a lot of live shows because there weren't really any to be had. So at that point, we did say we wanted to record at the Grove. So this was back in 2020. And we just thought, you know what, with everything going on now, we don't really want to release our first taste of music and not be able to kind of celebrate with a launch, because that's what it ultimately comes back to for us, is just the live show.
Yep.
So we pushed it back. We were going to record 2 songs in April of 2020, and we pushed it back, and we actually ended up recording. We said, fuck it, let's just go and just do a whole mini EP. And just not a lot of kind of bands that are first starting out really go about it that way. It's kind of a bit of a single society at the moment in terms of just singles, then potentially an EP later. But we kind of like the idea of just going in and putting our stamp on everything. And it's kind of, a bit more of like a body of work that we can use as reference. So yeah, it was really tough for us. I mean, thankfully, we both work full-time jobs outside of the band. So we're kind of financially, not tied to the success of the band. But yeah, we kind of then said, all right, fuck it, let's record an EP. And that's when we went to April in 2021 and kind of did it that way. But even releasing our first single was still amidst was still amidst some of the lockdown when it was back into October of last year. So it was tricky for us to kind of navigate the promotion of it all over like Google chat.
Yeah.
just doing Google calls. So we were just up till 11 o'clock after work. Daniel does all of the kind of the artwork and all of our social posts, and I kind of handle a lot of the business stuff on the back end and the social media ads and stuff. So it was tricky for us to kind of navigate that outside of full-time work and not being able to see each other and get excited over it as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was still kind of rewarding because it was something that we had to specifically make a lot of time for. Otherwise, we just would have rested on our laurels on this EP, and we said, let's just release it. And then we can celebrate later. And thankfully, we got just in the nick of time, we managed to organize a singles launch at the back end of last year, which was good. So yeah, it's been challenging, but I think we're fortunate that we were able to kind of do the things we wanted to do almost on the precipice before chaos happened again. So we've been scraping by. Yeah.
So, tell us about the Grove. What was it like being up there and recording with Owen, and what do you feel that Owen brought to your music as well?
Yeah. So I think for us, we're quite, I think, a unique output in terms of we're a two-piece. So already we're kind of, in a small number of Sydney bands, or at least Australian bands, that do kind of operate as as a two-piece. So not only that as well, but we were also quite new and excited at the prospect of recording our elements. So I think we needed a competent person to kind of wrangle our ideas and project them into a structured way and something that actually came to life in terms of what we had in our head. So obviously we know what Creep Feature should sound like in a recorded fashion. It should sound like our live show, but just turned up to 11. But the process of doing that, I think Dan and I were a little bit new to. So Owen just brought a wealth of knowledge, and just was able to connect a lot of the dots between ideas we had in our head and the actual execution of what the sound was like. So he helped on the Violent Soho record, and he kind of helped on the She Had record as well. And he's kind of no stranger to the energetic and the loud rock sounds that we were after.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having that experience of him, and he's younger than us actually, but to some extent he was more mature than us in a lot of instances, and kind of telling us when ideas might not have been good, or when ideas could have been good. He kind of helped with shortening some of the structure of Suffocate, so really kind of had a bit more of a producer and an engineer role as well. But just throwing ideas out there was so important. Like we had a distortion pedal that I got given by a music teacher in year 12, and our thinking going up to the studio is, let's just bring everything and we'll see what sticks and what doesn't. And he just was like, one day when we were recording the bass for, I think it was Batman, he just plugged in this guitar distortion pedal that I had into the bass amp, and it had the filthiest tone I've ever heard. So it was just this kind of like mad scientist mentality that Owen also brought as well. We busted out, I think it's called an Evo or an Evo. It's like a little guitar, kind of like a magnet thing that you have over the top of the strings, and it produces this really weird and ambient feedback sound that was cool. So yeah, I guess with Owen working on that, it was unreal. But then from Grove, as a wider perspective, like the moment we went there, it was just absolute paradise. And just to walk through where we recorded and to sleep, 5 seconds away from the studio, it was just doing what we loved for 5 days. So, we'd wake up, have breakfast, walk around just the Lily Pond paradise. And then it was just straight into recording our music from like 9 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, it was kind of cool to have our little bit of fabric etched into the history of that place, because there's such a lineage to it, and so many incredible artists. And the week before recording, I was just looking at all the Violent Soho footage that they put up of the behind the scenes of the Grove, and then to go in there and hear Daniel just go batshit on the drums, and for us to record in there was just unreal. And yeah, we were super stoked with the end result, and yeah, just couldn't have had a more blissful and rewarding time, to be honest. It was just absolutely unreal.
That's awesome. And you guys have now got the EP launch coming up at the Vanguard on April 29th, but what are your plans for the rest of the year? Are you guys going to look to maybe even tour into Queensland and Victoria as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the plan for us. It's always a little tricky doing it kind of DIY. We're kind of sourcing all of our gigs by ourselves, and kind of just working through a lot of that aspect, but on accordance of our own, and the contacts we've kind of built just from pulling a bit of a live show. Like our singles launch last year, towards the end, sold out at Vanguard, so I think it was 120 cap. And this year, for the EP launch, April 29th, we're looking to do 170. So we're definitely just trying to build a bit of a reputation within Sydney for just bringing an electric show, and definitely wanting to tour as much as possible and gig as much as possible, and kind of get support slots and bigger slots, just where audiences might already be there, so we can just put on a hectic show and tear the roof down for somebody that might be playing afterwards for us. And yeah, we're definitely looking to head out to Queensland and Wollongong, and just also playing a bunch around Sydney whenever we can. And potentially, probably, I think it'd be time for us to head back into the studio around June to do another single, I think, and just follow up the EP, because we live in a bit of a what's next society, so we gotta make sure we're ahead of the 8 ball.
Definitely. Well, mate, we are going to play Batman on the show right now, but what would you like to say to people out there before they go out and grab the amazing EP as well?
Yeah, just thank you so much for all of the love for the EP, and it's all of our favorite bands blended into a 4-track. So if you're fans of bands like Royal Blood, DZ Death Rays, Violent Soho, Muse, Arctic Monkeys, we've kind of pined over these songs for the last 4 years, and it's the distillation of all of our influences and everything we love about music. So there's definitely something in there for everybody, and the production of it is insane, and it's everything we love. So we hope you love it as much as we do.